Halloween terror attack foiled. FBI agents yelling in Arabic, "This is the FBI," warning residents of this home that they have a warrant and to come out.
There they go.
Video showing the agents using flashbangs, then storming into the house in Dearborn, Michigan.
It's pretty scary because we have a lot of relatives around this neighborhood.
FBI Director Kash Patel announcing the raids on social media, writing the FBI stopped a potential terrorist attack before it could unfold, calling it a violent plot tied to international terrorism. 5 young individuals were taken into custody involving a plot to conduct an attack in the U.S. that has a connection to ISIS, 3 senior law enforcement officials tell NBC News, saying the suspects had discussed carrying out some sort of terror attack around Halloween, or what they allegedly referred to as Pumpkin Day. Agents seen searching through the homes. Hours later, and we're still seeing agents walking in and out of that home, sometimes walking out with items and loading them into vehicles. The suspects are naturalized citizens from a Middle Eastern country who had access to firearms and firearm training. 2 senior law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation tell NBC News. Do you know the people who were in that house?
Yep, friendly neighbors, good neighbors of ours. Nothing that I could speculate on them.
President Trump weighing in Friday on the investigation.
We're catching people before they ever start.
As Michigan's Attorney General expressed relief.
I'm very, very grateful for the FBI's work in protecting the community and keeping people safe.
And there's still a lot we just don't know, including the timing and targets of this alleged plot. But this morning, we're hearing from the attorneys for one of the suspects involved. He says his client is fully cooperating. And in a statement released overnight, he says, quote, "The reality here involves a small group of young men with a lawful interest in recreational firearms, not a terrorist cell or organized attack," guys.
Shaquille Brewster in Dearborn. Thank you, Shaq.
Hey, so... that's the thing. Those are the arguments that they'll be having. And what can we say about what were their plans? What were they going to do? And that's all part of the investigation. And this attorney for one of the individuals charged, he can say what he wants, but the proof is in the pudding. The pudding, Mike. Cell phone texts, right? Cell phone calls, computer messaging. This chat room where apparently they were being radicalized by potential ISIS terrorism. The FBI doesn't just use that word, they were being radicalized by ISIS terrorists. They don't use it easily. One of the problems that I applaud the FBI for this, the word Islamophobia. Is that supposed to freeze us in place and not do our job as law enforcement because we're afraid to hurt someone's feelings that may be looking to kill Americans? Are we supposed to not do our job? And that's the result it can have when you hear that word, Islamophobia. Okay, because they're from the Middle East, we're not allowed to act in a law enforcement capacity and prevent a potential terrorist attack. Mike.
Yeah, I have in my office, I have a little plaque from Benjamin Cardozo, who was a famous New York State judge and was nominated and served on the United States Supreme Court. And it says, let us never close our minds as judges to what we know to be true as men. And if we know that there's a terrorist attack planned by a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, we have to confront that the same way. The danger is there. We have to go after it. We have to squash it. And if anybody allows some sort of, or they're afraid of being called a racist or Islamophobe or whatever it happens to be, then you shouldn't be in law enforcement because you're not doing your job. The FBI is not going to do this sort of operation. And there's the state attorney general of Michigan, who probably was really prepped and knew a lot of what was going on, and thanking the FBI because they have a lot more capabilities than the local police do. And so therefore, this has to be taken seriously, and you follow the clues wherever it leads you, no matter who you're investigating. You have to find this out. There's too much potential public danger for anybody who's not prepared to go all the way and investigate these claims, because it doesn't matter who that person is. If they're planning on doing taking firearms, even if they're lawfully owned, and then going to, say, a block party or something like that and start shooting, they are a terrorist. No matter who they are a terrorist.
And something, when I said the proof is in the pudding, their online chat, their online communication, their cell phone communication, they were referring to it's on for Pumpkin Day. I know the exact words. Anyway, the threat didn't begin with a bang, but with a whisper. It started in encrypted chat rooms and shadowy online forums where extremist ideologies fester. The group consisted of several young men, some as young as 16, others up to 20 years old. They were allegedly inspired by the propaganda of international terrorist organizations, specifically ISIS. This wasn't happening in a vacuum. The region was already on high alert after a separate plot was foiled back in May 2025. In that case, a former member of the Michigan Army National Guard named Amar Said was arrested for planning an ISIS-inspired attack on a military facility in suburban Detroit. That arrest was a stark reminder that the threat of online radicalization was very real. The new group, possibly inspired by the earlier plot, began to talk. They were allegedly communicating not just with each other, but were also taking cues from ISIS propaganda. Their discussions were a mix of youthful bluster and deadly serious planning. They allegedly talked about firearms, about targets, and about making a statement. All the while, the communities of Dearborn and Inkster, Michigan went about their daily lives completely unaware of the digital shadow stretching over their homes. So how does law enforcement even begin to penetrate a closed, encrypted online world? It starts with the FBI's modern post-9/11 mandate to be proactive, not reactive. Under the Attorney General's guidelines, the FBI doesn't have to wait for a crime to be committed. It can launch preliminary investigations, gathering intelligence from public sources, informants, and online forums to map out potential threats before they can materialize. The first thread of this plot was reportedly pulled by a member of the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. These task forces are the backbone of modern counterterrorism, combining the resources of federal, state, and local agencies. An agent, an informant, or maybe a tip from a concerned citizen flagged the online chatter. It wasn't a fully formed plot yet, more like a disturbing discussion, but it was enough. Suddenly, the abstract threat had a name, or at least a digital footprint. The race against time had officially begun. The FBI knew a storm was gathering, but they didn't yet know when or where it would strike. So the FBI definitely thwarted what was going to be an attack. And this type of proactive law enforcement is what we want, Mike. We don't want to see bodies thrown all over the place. And we look at in New York, it was in 2017. This guy rented a van, went on the West Side Highway and ran over and murdered 8 people.
Yes. I remember.
That was also a terrorist attack. Was there any warning of that?